Hello there and welcome back to Satisfactory, yes, and Satisfactory not tutorials as well, yes. We're back on here, going to be continuing on part 2 of our train tutorial. Going to be talking about some more complex things, some more complex rails. We'll get into a little bit of some other stuff, and we'll go over a few comments that we got from the last video. As well, which should be good. Bye, train! Perfect for a train tutorial, right? But yeah. Oh, and as we get started here, I would like to mention that doing these tutorials, I'm not the best at doing tutorials. I tend to jump back and forth and be all crazy. I'm hard to kind of follow. I understand that. We're still going to do it anyway, especially because the last one was so much success. Thank you guys. Thank you guys quite a lot. And I know I waited a little bit too long. I was only going to wait a few days, but that's just how it went. Bye, train. That is just how it went. Just unfortunate. I ended up being so busy with the holiday season and stuff like that. It just, with Christmas and, well, not just with Christmas, but with the New Year stuff, and I know it got a little hectic, but that's just how it goes. Plus, I've been pulled every which way to go and join. It's like, hey, join me on this stream. Okay, go join that one. Hey, join me on next day. Join me on this stream. So I've been all over the place. I've been everywhere, man. But yeah, that's looks like we'll be doing these tutorials, and we'll do a part 3 if we need to as well. But I would like to go over some of the more advanced stuff and stuff like that. We'll build a little bit of a different. We'll build an actual rail network. This is kind of just a test, but yeah, we'll build a little bit more of an actual network and stuff like that, and we'll see how it goes. So, anyway, without wasting any more of your time, because I've wasted enough of it, let's go ahead and get on into it. Let's go. Alrighty, and here we are. Welcome to the train's not tutorial 50 by 50 foundation platform. Just have to build something real quick. Just real quick, Only took me 5 minutes. 50 by 50. This is a 50 by 50, by the way. It really is. Okay, so we're going to be building some stuff up on here because this just makes it easier for me to convey what I'm trying to tell you guys for this train not tutorial and stuff like that. So, anyway, let's see. So here's this train station here. We're going to go ahead and set it up here. We're actually going to be setting up some factories as well, which should be good here. So I'm probably going to want this. And we'll have a couple of stations. Or a couple of trains here. So just to kind of clarify something, as I was talking about before. When I'm talking about train stations themselves, I'm talking about these pieces here. This is the actual train station portion. These are the freight platforms, but most of the time when I say train station, I'm actually meaning the whole thing. So, but yeah, I'll try to be a little more clear on that, because there might have been a little bit of confusion last time from that type of thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and remove these so they stop mining. And we'll get that set up here. So we'll just continue to remove. Let those miners fill up. There you go. And then I think what I'll do, actually set it up like this. Something a bit like that. Let me get these hooked up real quick. Alrighty then. Alrighty. That looks pretty good to me. Got the two miners kind of merged down here now. And then two miners merged over here, coming up to the left, up to our brand new iron mine train station. Let's go ahead and call that. It says no power active, but it's still powered. I think. Are you still powered? It doesn't say no power, so it's gotta be... Alright, we'll just call this Iron Mine 1. And this way we can set up for, more advanced rail network and stuff for later. If you'd like to know the basics and stuff like that, and you have not seen it, I did go over a lot of the basics in the first part of this, kind of not tutorial for the trains, and if you'd like to see that, because you haven't seen the basics of it, because we won't be going over the basics on this one, so definitely check that out on that first episode. Just a, little reminder in case you haven't seen it. I'm actually going to do a little bit longer of a train. We'll go 5-car. I like 5-car trains. As you guys had seen in my... why isn't the music playing? I could have swore I clicked play. Whatever. It's just weird. Just really weird there. Yeah, if you guys had not seen it, my Season 3, we had done 5-car trains for a lot of that stuff. And I actually, even though I had started off that series knowing a lot about Satisfactory, I still didn't know everything. And I still don't know everything. I still learn stuff all the time. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And unfortunately the mods are still not finished for Update 8. They're still working on it, so it's one of those unfortunate deals. Whoop. What's a little bit of weird lag issue there? I didn't even put that in the correct spot. Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about it. Also, there's a tree poking through my... Get out of here, nature! I didn't say you could poke through my foundation. No, my radio. I need that. Okay. So yeah, we'll put down a 5-car train station. Make sure that all of these are set. Yeah, these are set to load, so we're good. So I'm going to do a 5-car train, which should be pretty nice. Pretty nice haul. And I'm going to go ahead and connect all these train stations. This way, the mines, when they fill up one train station, they'll just continue mining and stuff like that too, so... can you not turn off automatic trains? Or remove automatic trains? That's another thing I didn't know. I know something about I didn't know something about trains. Holy crap. I didn't know you couldn't remove them. Maybe I did and I just forgot. Probably. That's probably what it is, I'm sure. We got Mark 5 belts on everything too. Yeah, that train did have iron on it, so... I wonder why it didn't unload it all. That is interesting. We'll have to look at that later. Yeah, I got to, Oh, you know what it was? It might have been because the train had just unloaded right before it, so... Yeah, I think we need to remove a lot of this anyway. By the way, I do have lumen on, in case you're wondering why it's so freaking dark down here. Like, wait a minute, my game isn't that dark. It's like, yeah, because you don't, because I have lumen. I like playing with lumen. It's amazing. Lumen is, it's like once lumen came out with Update 8, man, so good. It is the best. Let's see, I should be able to turn off self-driving. Go away. You can't remove it while it's in station, or being unloaded, either. Should be one more train running around here, right? No? Nope, there it is, okay. There you go. Can you remove it while it's moving? Nope. You can't do that either. There we go. I don't tend to remove a lot of my trains. Just gonna remove these. That one had the stupid Mercer sphere things that are still useless to this game, so... Oh, we can't. See, I can't sync them neither, so... Let me just grab this little box here, and we'll just throw it out a box real quick. Put in the stuff that we can't sync. I don't know why they don't allow you to sync those even though they're useless. It's like, you should be able to sync those. In my opinion, anyway. Yeah, removing a lot of this is going to remove a lot of confusion for later. Okay then, now that we have cleaned up all of our toys, basically. This is like a giant sandbox. Oh, I have NVIDIA DLSS on. Let me change that. Doesn't seem to be working apparently. Let's go to none so we don't crash the game. Yeah, we'll just do none, I think. Why this isn't mining very fast? Let's see. I don't have my other mod on for the store, unfortunately. 1 second. Yeah, let me fix these to where they're at least putting out the maximum of the belt itself. Okay, there we go. That should help. So that's 300. And this one should be 300 then as well. So that's 600. That's not quite the maximum belt, but that's much faster. So 300. And 300. Doing normal Satisfactory stuff now. On a train tutorial. It's okay, I'm all over the place, like I said. There we go, that's a bit better. That way we can actually do some factory stuff as well. So we got ourselves a 5-car train here. This is generally where you'd start. And we'll just say, let's see, power. I wonder what happens if I do this. I'm curious now. It's not charged. No connection. So there's a cool little thing you can do. Since this is a train tutorial, I will tell you about this little trick here. So, you know, one of the problems with trains, right, is the power poles clearance. So let's say we got a power pole here, and we got a power pole here, and we want to get the power from this side of the train, which the connection is there, to this side of the train. Honestly, 2 connections would solve this issue, but that's just how the devs are, I guess. But yeah, it's just like, oh, that's simple. Just take a power line here to here. Now here's the issue, as you can probably see already. Look at the train's clearance. It doesn't matter if the poles are, let's see, the closest you can go without clipping is right there probably. It's about 2 away, so 1, 2. Yeah, that's the closest you can go without clipping. Don't worry about the reefs, it's still fix miss. Yeah, and we look at the clearance here. And you see that this is the closest you can go, and the clearance, the train is still going to hit it with the wire. Now, if you don't care about this kind of stuff, you don't have to worry about it, but I do care about this kind of stuff. So you can see the wire is coming through. So there is a little bit of a trick. Let's put this train back in its station. Right there. There's a little bit of a trick you can do, a little bit of advanced. Well, I guess it's not advanced. It's pretty easy to do. It's just, and you can do this with a lot of different stuff in Satisfactory. When you are trying to pull a pole on something, normally you can't put I can't put a pole there. I can't put a pole here. I can't put a pole anywhere around this stuff if I'm aiming at something else. But if you're connecting from something, let's see, now I can put a pole here. I can put a pole right on top of this. I mean, no, I can't actually. Wait, no, wait, I saw it. Aha, I win. So you can put a pole there. I can put a pole right on these belts. If you hold control, you can do that too. But yeah, there's a nice little trick here. If you're connecting from a train and you're trying to get the power up and over, and of course you can go underneath too if you like. But yeah, you can connect from this. Now normally, obviously, I can't put a pole on top of this. See, it's not appearing. But if I connect from it, and I put a pole, and this is what I usually do, is I'll put a pole right about here, and you've seen me do this countless times if you've watched my series and stuff like that too. Now I'm trying to connect from this, and I'm like, okay, so that goes through. It looks okay, I suppose, but I still don't like it. Now there's 2 ways I can do this, of course. I can go from here, and actually, no, you can't. You can't go from there, that's right, with their new system. But now we can go from here. So instead of going to here, I'm going to go to here. Okay, and I'm just going to put a power pole there. I'm going to delete the connection. Then I'm going to connect it again to this side. And then run the power line across. And then to that battery. I don't know if that battery will charge. No, I don't think that battery will charge. I was just curious about that. Because I've got no cost going with the Pak Utility Mod, so... Yeah. We'll just say our power connection is here. So basically what I wanted to say was... let's see, this is our power. Just kind of... And we're powering our train station, right? Even though that's not how this mod works, but... It's just easier for people to visualize, I suppose. Okay, so... We've got our train station getting iron ore, right? Now let's go... I don't know, I'm just going to pick a random spot here. Let's go here, I guess. Actually... It might help if I do this. So, if you guys remember from the first episode, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3-ish. Now, this is a little bit off-grid, so you know what I might do? I might try to connect it via here, actually. We'll make a little bit of an oblong corner. See, it looks like it's straight right there. This is why I like building on foundations and stuff. That's really nice. First, then I'm going to run it and back it off one. There we go. Now, the other thing you can't do is you can't put one of these down next. You can't connect it because it needs to connect to it. This is a weird requirement. I don't know why they require this. I still can't figure it out. They could probably explain it to me why they do this, and I'd still go, well, that's dumb. So there's it's quite a bit stupid in my opinion why they don't allow you to just put the platforms down without being connected to the train station. Because then I need to go, okay, well my train is 5 cars long. So then I need to go, okay, so 1, and we'll just allow this to count. So we're going to count to 6, or sorry, 12, sorry, yeah, 12. It's a 6-car train, so, or 6 vehicle train, including the engine. Or 6 foundation train, there we go. So then I know it's there, so then I can just do this. And yes, it doesn't matter if you connect the rails to it, the rails can already be down. And if I connect, or if I put a platform here, and that it'll automatically connect to that track, which is pretty nice. You don't have to reconnect it. And yeah, we'll go over that way. So we'll unload the 5. Now, obviously the 5 is a bit excessive, but we got so much room up here that it really doesn't matter. And again, this is all just sort of tutorial, not tutorial stuff, so, you know. So that's why everything's so close. And then we'll run our rail this way. Let me run a rail from here. 1, 2. So we'll go to about like the other one. So if I'm trying to connect to this, and I'm trying to figure out how long to make this track here that I'm connecting to, what I'll do is I'll go 1, 2, 3, and that's where I connect it. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the shortest 90-degree which you can make. And then just connect it. And now we've got a full circuit. So what I'm going to do over here is we're going to do what should we call this? Like, we'll just call this Iron Factory. Because you're not going to be producing, or if you call another factory Iron Factory and it's not producing iron ingots, then it'd be like, you know, Iron Plate Factory or something like that. So we'll do that. That way it just keeps it easy. So we've got just a normal circuit. I like to do the train circuits. These are just fine. And like I said, later we'll do some slightly more advanced stuff. So I'm just going to edit and we'll go train my one, iron factory, save changes. Now, because this is a train on its own network, there's no other trains here. I don't even have to put up signals. I can just turn on self-driving. Let me back up just a little bit. Since I put the station that it's at as the first station it's going to go to, we just back up just a wee bit and then turn on self-driving. So now it's going to automatically load, and then we need to go over here. Switch all these off, or switch all these to unload, so that it unloads our entire train. There we go. Yeah, it's going to go to Iron Factory. And the cool thing is if you have multiple train networks, but they're not connected together in any way, you will not see those train stations on those other networks. You will not see them within the trains timetable. So if we look at the timetable here, I will not see any other trains that are not connected to this specific train network. If the train cannot get there because the tracks are not connected, you'll never see it. So, and that just makes things easy in case you want to do multiple loops and stuff that's disconnected. But me personally, I like to do an entire full train network. That way trains can get anywhere they want, as well as I can run my own personal train with an inventory, so I can build new track, or build new factories, things like that. Really nice. So that's another little tip, is to put down a train with a couple of cars on your rail network and have that as a personal train you just drive around with an inventory. Just be careful of crashing into your trains. Okay, so again, like I said there, we've got a full rail network there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do something a little bit more interesting here. There's going to be one way we're going to do this, which would be the easiest to keep things from being too complicated. That's going to be interesting. Is I'm going to put down another train station. Let's go here. Here? No, let's go here. This might be a bit weird, but we'll go here. And then I'm going to put this. So 3, 4, 5. I might even switch these up. I'll let the train go through and then I'll switch these around. Actually, no, maybe not. No, it's fine. We just won't worry about it. Okay, so now that I've got this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this train station. I'm going to put this down as I. So inbound. You can name it whatever you want. And then this one I'm going to... the cool thing is you could also do this. Control C. Go over to this train station. Control V. And then I'm going to type in O instead. Capital. There we go. Hit enter. Okay. So that we're basically just building a kind of a rail network, I guess you could say, of sorts. So what can we do here? So what's the closest? Let's see, this might be far enough away. No, it's a little too close, actually. I mean, it'll still work, but it'll be a 4x. Yeah. I'll do this. Okay. What we'll do is we'll run a train line right here. Run it down this way. And that's not exactly straight, is it? There we go, now it's straight. This is like, wait a minute, that don't... It's like, that don't look straight at all. And then what I'm gonna do as well... So since the way this rail works is it goes to the right. So we want a connection there. Okay, so then we'll go 1, 2, 3. So basically I'm just building a kind of an entrance for each of these tracks here. And you can do this while the train's running. As soon as you reconnect the track properly, it'll resume running like it's supposed to. But yeah, and since we have no signals yet, the train's still going to do its thing. It'll never crash into this other train because it doesn't have a way to. But if I removed, say, this connection, it just might just try to go through there. It'll just crash into it, so which is pretty funny. So that'll work there, and then what I'm also going to do is to get back this way. This will kind of introduce our dual rail system here. So what is that? Right about there. So, like I said, just building a complex rail network. No big deal. Let's set it up to be there. Let's see, is that going to be too close? Yeah. There we go. Build kind of a slightly weird intersection. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just... No. Don't really know what I'm doing. Just kind of building, man. Sometimes you just gotta build. Find out what happens. I mean, if you guys have been on the channel a while, you know exactly what what I'm like. Yeah. And how I build things is usually I just kind of build by what I feel like at the moment. So connect that to there. And then we want a connection point right there. Or I guess just wherever straight, I suppose. You see the train stopped up there? It's waiting for me to reconnect the track so I can resume. There you go. So basically what I'm doing is I'm building a bypass rail because I'm going to have multiple... Trying to complex up the rail network just a little bit. Okay, and then I put that fifth car there. So let me get this. Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably merge all this just about into two belts. So if we've got, let's say, what was it, 1,200 coming in? Let's try and use all that. So we kind of build a realistic, slightly realistic factory. So 1,200, we're going to take that 1,200 and we're divided by 30 because it's 1-to-1 on iron. So we'll divide that by 30, and it's the machine's normal does 30 to 30, so that's 40. Okay, then we take that 40 and then you divide that by... Wait a second. Let me figure out what the average or what the I forget the numbers for overclocking. Let me line this up. So yeah, to about there-ish. And we'll go iron ingots. Like I said, the fixment stuff is still going on. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's 75. So now we'll take our 1,200, divide that by 75, that's 16. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and put down 16 of these. So 3. So what would that be? That'd be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let me get this hooked up real quick, and I'll be back with you shortly, because this is not a train. This is not anything to do with trains, so... Alright, 1 second. Okay, so one quick little thing while I'm building this. Turn that back on. It's going, right? Yeah, it's going. Okay. Yeah, one quick little thing is to go up and over train stations with stackable conveyors. We can do this. So yeah, I'll go about here-ish, I guess. So I need 2 sets going over this train. So the one thing, if you don't remember how tall trains are, or you're not really sure, or you just don't care to remember, I always forget. It's not that I don't care to remember, it's just I never can. So what I'll do is I'll take a train. And this shouldn't be close enough to hit that other train there. Should be okay. Is I'll park the train right in the middle. And if you do the engine or the water car, those are the tallest. They're taller than the regular box car. The engine itself and the water train. I think the water train is actually taller. If I remember, the water car, when it's got a water tank on it, is actually taller than the engine. So you definitely want to avoid that. Now, if I remember, it's 3 or 4. It's 4, yeah. 4 is a pretty good height for belt stackers. So you can actually measure this too if we take an architecture painted beam. And we go, okay, that's 9 meters. So yeah, trains are about 8 meters tall. They're 2.5 walls. Is a pretty good height for them. Now, the way they changed it in Update 8, if you're building tunnels for trains and stuff with foundations and whatnot, foundations, walls, whatever it might be, the one thing you want to avoid is going just tall enough. The reason you want to avoid that is because if you're never going to ride around that train, then it isn't a problem. But for me, when I ride around on my trains, I always run into this issue where the train now collides with objects and no longer goes through them, the camera. So when I'm inside this train, if I go forward here, I'm going to cause a crash. No, it didn't collide with the belts. I know it collides with foundations. I might be able to get it to collide. The hitbox for the rails, or for the belts, are really small. Let's see. It's like right there-ish. Huh. No, it still didn't collide. Okay. It does collide with walls and foundations, I know that much. And it can get really annoying. So, yeah, just be aware of that. So you want to go a little bit taller than just tall enough, basically. But yeah, and here's another little trick, too. What we can do is we can take our power pole. We can hold control. And as you can see, it puts it right in the middle of that. Or if you're trying to connect from a power location like this, you can also put it like right in the middle. And this is another good little... So if you've got belts going over rails and stuff, you can use that to help you carry power over as well. And this looks much nicer than going over the top of the train station. Or think about putting your train stations in buildings. And then running wall connectors around the outside of the building, or in the inside of the building, even. Yeah, do train stations like full on, deck it out, do a full freaking box around it, and then you can run power that way too. So, just some little tips and tricks. One more trick before we continue for power when it comes to the power itself. Let's grab some walls here. So one little trick I like to use when pulling over train lines, if let's say we got 2 train stations here, we got some buildings, but I need power over here where there is no structure. I'm not pulling any belts, so I can't use that for that, and I'm not going to be able to go underneath. Let's just say all that's a factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wall here. I'm going to hit the H key with the Update 8, being able to lock the hologram in place. I'm going to move it 1 out just to give it room. I'm going to put a wall there, a wall here. As you can see, yeah, 2, I don't know what did that. 2 walls is just tall enough. I'm going to go slightly taller with it. I'm going to do 3 walls tall. This will just make things easy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your power, and I'm going to do a dual wall connector. It can be any that you like. And I'm going to we'll put it right there. And a dual wall connector there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these walls. So this is a nice little advanced trick, I guess you could say. Maybe advanced, I'm not sure. What's advanced and what's not advanced. And the best one to use is the metal beam. I'm going to rotate it like this. And then connect, and this is the reason why, because look at the double wall connector. This looks really nice. And when you pull power through it, obviously the double wall connector works. You don't have to go from here to here. Actually, it won't even allow you to do that. But you can pull power over the rail line like that. And you can obviously spread these out because they'll go about as long as the normal poles do. And then do one on this side. Oh, let me show you. So if you use the painted beam, I don't know, it depends on what you like. It's more of a preference type deal. Even that's a dual wall connector, that might look good to you. It doesn't really look good to me because I like to see the bolts and the backing plate and stuff. And actually, the Mark IIIs look even cooler. As you can see there. The Mark IIIs look really good. So I like to use these. And the reason I'm placing these without placing them in their little deals, their little feet, I guess you could call it. I call them feet. It's just easy. If we go to architecture here, these things, the beam supports. The reason I don't put the beam support down first is because if I put the beam support down first, I can't rotate the beam once it's connected to that, and it's really hard to get them to rotate. It's a little bit finicky, so I'll put the beam down first and then I'll go back in and do this, and so you can place them right there and it works just fine. And if you want to, you can even do this. If you want to pull power, maybe you don't want to pull power through those beams like that, maybe you want to do this and then go to power. Then let's go to our outlet and let's put an outlet there and an outlet there. You can pull power from there. Now do be aware that the further you go apart, the more this is going to then go inside the beam. And you can't really rotate this one, so this one might be more suited for your painted beam style, if you like those better. This style might be a little bit better for you. And you're just like, well, that's hanging off that beam. That doesn't look good. Here, we'll do this. And the bolts still show. Interesting. So yeah, you can do that kind of stuff. I've done electrical fences like this, or electrical fence looking things. So you can do it that way too if you like. It just depends on what you like and stuff like that. So yeah, normally without these two top pieces, what I would do is I would just run the beam like this. Just so it's not two sticks, you can do that. That kind of makes it look like a more solid shape. So there's just one little tip there as well. So okay, let me get this finished hooking up these belts real quick. Alrighty then, and away she goes. And just for fun, I crossed the belts. It looks kind of cool actually, just a little bit. So now we've got our iron ingots going in. So just another quick little trick just for Satisfactory itself. You know, you're probably going to sit there and go, oh man, I got to go to this next one. I got to select the iron ingot. So it starts making iron. Then I got to put the overclockers in and overclock it. No, another little trick you can do is Control C, settings copied, Control V, and you just go to. Just another little hack, I guess you could say. And see, it fully copies it, the recipe and the overclocking as well, which is really nice. So now they're all going. Okay. So we got our iron ore going. Let's get those iron ingots onto this train here. Oh, and one other thing to take note of: when trains are loading or unloading, the inputs and outputs are blocked. So they will no longer transport materials. As you can see here, we're not getting any iron ore out of this. But once the train's done loading or unloading, then the ports open back up. So that is one thing to keep note, that if you're running a really tight ship on your materials per minute, that there is going to be, roughly 30 seconds or so, where the materials are not flowing through your belt. So if you got like a longer belt like this, going up into this factory here, there was a moment there where the ore was going through, but it was not getting to the machines because the entire belt was empty. So do keep that in mind. What I would recommend um, in order to avoid stuff like that, if you are running, let's say you're running iron plates that take 1,200 iron ingots per minute, you're producing 1,200 iron ingots per minute, and you're receiving 1,200 iron ore per minute. It's the exact number. Your train stations are filled so that there is no issues between there. What you might do, just as an extra precaution, is maybe you might do this. Now, this is not necessary. It's just if you're running a very, very tight ship, you're putting exactly 1,200 in here, you might not never need to do this, but one of the things you probably could do is put down maybe one of these on your output belt in order to kind of stock up on this so that the time when this is not working, it'll flow out of this box because the boxes are full. Just quickly. I was going to do it, but then I was like, nah, it's taking too much space. So yeah, that might be something. But the other thing to do is, just make sure your train stations are full when that runs that, or when that does that. Make sure you're not running into situations where you're not getting enough iron ore or enough materials to your factory, so that there's no time when the belts aren't really full necessarily. So that's just a little thing. Kind of a downside to trains is there's that. Actually, no, that's a downside to all the buildings, isn't it? All the transports. Is that there's always that moment when there's nothing flowing out because the train or the station's either being loaded or unloaded. Yeah, just a little thing to watch out for. Actually, that's all connected. Nice. Very, very nice. Everything's running. We've got iron ingots. Very cool. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do I didn't clean up all my mess. I had cleaned up all my mess. Why is some of the shadow still here? Go away. Oh, weird. Yeah, I didn't clean up all my mess. I thought I did, though. It's the thought that counts, right? Okay. So, we'll go ahead and run a train over here. See, this is going to be on the right side, so we'll leave a little bit of a space. So something like that, I guess. So this is going to be our iron ingot factory. Right over here. Connect that. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then we'll build our rail. So now that we've got this dual rail thing going on, we're going to have to do something very interesting. So, I go ahead and run this to here. So that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just for fun. That's not connected because that's not in the right spot. I thought I had it as centered. Must have moved it the last second. Yeah, that's what happened. It moved it the last second. Oh, and if you ever want to know how the arrow is facing, the old trick was to mouse wheel backwards, which moves it to the left, and then mouse wheel forwards, which moves it to the right. So if my arrow's pointing left and my arrow's pointing right, when it points this way, it's pointing straight, and when it's pointing this way, or this way, then I know which way the arrow's pointing. But now there's the trick of you can just hit the H key and go, yep, my train station's where I want it. Because it was always annoying because the train stations were always so big. There we go. So 2. We got 3, 4, 5. Now, the other thing to note, too, that I didn't mention before, is when it comes to connecting to the front or back side of a train station, the whole thing, of course, is you can only make one connection. That's it. So if I make this connection, let's say I wanted another train coming in from that way, I cannot connect this anymore. Again, weird restriction. Why they have that on the game, I do not know. But yeah, so if you want to do that, the closest you can go is 1.5 foundations. And sometimes the game can be a little bit picky and make you go a little bit more. But yeah, 1.5 foundations. So we've got one. There's the half. You see how it turns blue. So now I can paint that, or paint that. I can put that down. Then I go 1, 2, 3, or whatever, and then I can run a secondary rail line into it and connect it up that way. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the way you'd have to do it. And the shortest that you can put down a rail is 1.5 foundations. Again, weird restriction, but that's the way it is. And honestly, I think some of the shortest I would go on a train if I was designing the restriction for it is maybe a 2x2, which would be, of course, this short. Oops, that's a little close. Supposed to be there. This is the shortest I would go on a rail for that restriction, or the smallest, because sometimes you're just in a really tight spot, and people will be like, "Well, what, the train flying around that sharp of a corner doesn't look realistic." It's like, yeah, but the AI sometimes slows itself down because it's going too fast for a corner. That doesn't look too realistic. So the train does slow itself down, and it's got automatic, I guess it'd probably be gyros or something, right? Where the gyro would keep the train level by leaning the train into the corner, into the inside of the corner when it turns at speed. You know, so it's already got that system in place. Again, I don't understand, but that's okay. Yeah, the restrictions are a little bit weird, and there's no way to remove those restrictions. Not even with mods, I don't think. There might be a mod out there that could do it, or somebody that would be able to do that, but the way it is right now, you would get a different set of track pieces that don't have a restriction on them. That one's by Andre Aquila as well. That's the Flex Splines mod, I believe it is. Something like that. Okay, so this rail goes here. So again, 1, 2, 3. You know what? For the heck of it, we'll do a 4 corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a pretty big corner, just for funsies. We'll run this. I always like to, when I'm doing bypass rails or anything like that, I always like to run it to here. To the end. That way I can put my signals and stuff in the same place if I like. As well. So the other thing I'm going to go ahead and do is go, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. This is what I'm going to do here. We're going to do this. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again. Just to kind of save space. Then 1, 2, 3 again. And then take it down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. Yeah, that'll do that easily. That's a 6x6 corner. It's a very weird corner. We'll do it anyway. Okay, and then we'll call this the iron plate factory. Okay, so that's where the train's going to deliver to our iron ingots. Now, of course, with this kind of system, we can set both of these trains to run now on this system, since they both got a destination port. And a timetable, we'll go iron factory outbound, which is where we're at, and then iron plate factory. Save changes. Let's back this up just a wee bit. Turn on self-driving. Okay. Now, of course, this might end up in a situation where these trains may never hit. But since we've got 2 trains running on a rail network now we're going to set up our our intersections. We're going to set up our signals just throughout the entire thing. So for this type of thing, I'd go, okay, these two tracks are intersecting, so that's an intersection to me. I'm going to put down a path signal. Even though it's not a complex intersection, I'm still going to do it anyway. This way, if the two trains are trying to leave at similar times from their train station, they will be able to reserve this intersection where they connect, basically. They will be able to reserve that. Now, you see these flashing here. Now, basically what it says, signal loops itself. That's because we got no other signals. And even if I was to, say, put a signal over here somewhere, what it's then going to tell me is the signal cannot contain stations, or the block cannot contain stations, which is another weird restriction why the path signals don't allow that, but I'm not going to worry about it. There's probably some logistics system that doesn't, that if that were allowed, it would screw it all up. So yeah, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go boop, and that's going to bring me a block signal, and that's going to allow this path signal to work, which is not currently working. Oh, you know why? Is because of the the block signal, of course, block signal itself. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another train. I'm going to make myself a construction train, essentially. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6, just for fun. Okay. So this is now my construction train. This is what I mean by a train. A construction train doesn't have to be this big, obviously, but for building rails and stuff like that, what I can do is I can put like construction materials in here for building trains, like the steel pipe, the steel beams, the concrete, the copper sheets, the computers, the circuit boards, the motors, the heavy modular frames, the wire and the cable, all that stuff that's needed to build rails. I can put it all in here. You know, maybe even plastic and more copper sheets for like Mark II pipes and stuff, you know. Just that kind of stuff, maybe even some stuff for belts, and just you can put all kinds of stuff in here. And obviously the longer you construction train, the more you can have. And then you not only got your inventory here, you've got this entire train's worth of inventory where you could drive around in it. Plus, me building a train like this, what I can do is I can go up here. Okay. My train fits within this block. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my next signal and go, this is a good spot. And again, wherever you connect the two rails together, that's where you can put signals. So if I wanted to put this signal, say, 2 foundations forward, I wouldn't be able to do that. So you can say I'm not going to be able to do that unless I can delete this rail and then connect here again and put the connection there instead. But yeah, then I can go do that. And when you're building blocks, you never want the block to be the exact size of the train unless it's a train station. You want the trains to kind of fit into the blocks comfortably. This kind of just separates trains out enough, depending on the train size you're going for. And of course, do keep in mind if you do have trains at different lengths. Like if I have a 2-car train on here, it's going to be able to fit it within 1 block. And if I have a 10-car train, it's not going to be able to fit within 1 block at a time. It's going to be 2 blocks. So yeah, do keep that in mind as well when you're placing down signals and stuff. Okay, my train fits in this signal. So what I'm going to do is I could put the signal here and the train would fit in the block exactly, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put the block here. But this is an intersection. So what I'm going to do, actually a block signal would just work here because this is an entrance into a dual. So the reason I'm not putting a path signal here is because there's no other path signal to reserve for this intersection. There's no other entrance. If an intersection has only one entrance, you only need a block signal, and that's it. You do not need a path signal if it's basically it's a splitter. If it's a train line splitter like this is, I do not need to put a path signal there because it's not really an intersection. Look at this other train, it's being impatient. Just hold your horses. You know, I'm just going to delete it for right now. That'd be the fastest way. There you go, buddy. You can now go. This signal is clear. Now, if I did put a pass signal here, again, it would complain at me until I put a block signal at the end of that station. But the train's going to know where it's going to go, which that one is set up to go here. Now, the other thing about block signals is block signals will look ahead. So the reason this train didn't move, even though that other train was clear, is that this block signal here looked at this, or sorry, this pass signal here, right here, looked at this block signal, and that block signal wasn't green. So what it did was said, okay, wait until this block is clear. The pass signal will always look to the block ahead of it as well. So let me give you an example here. If you got a train waiting here to reserve this, and you got a train here, the other way, and you got a train here, this train is going to reserve this intersection, but it's not going to go until this train moves out of the way. That's the example there. Okay, let's finish up our setting up our block signals and path signals and things. So there's a block signal there. So this intersection here has 1, 2, 3 entrances to it. So since it has more than one entrance, we're going to put a path signal here for the one entrance, here, here for the other entrance, and my dual rail setup as well that I've got over here. So that's 3 block signals going into it, and see, it's screaming at me. Block cannot contain stations. So to fix that, obviously, all we gotta do is put a block signal there and there, and that should correct it. It doesn't contain stations. What are you talking about? Oh, yes, it does actually. Yes, it does. Let me put a block signal here. There we go. That, I forgot that was connected. My bad. Okay, so that's going to take my iron ingots over. And this train with this setup will never collide. Unless you get, borked kind of start. Which does happen from time to time. The trains do got a slight bug that if you're loading up the game and you got 2 trains that are reserving a block or that are reserving an intersection like this, if you got 2 trains or more that are reserving that block, say this red section here, at the same time, and you load that game, what's going to happen is those 2 trains are going to reserve it at the exact same time. They're both going to go and they're going to collide. It's a bug, so don't worry about it if you do get collisions. And you know that there shouldn't be a collision, then you can just equate it to, yeah, that's just that bug. Now this might be a bit too far away, because if I leave this like this, this train, oh, it already reserved this, damn. It reserved it from over there. See how this train has to go all the way into its station in order for this train to start going? See how it's still waiting, still waiting, still waiting, still waiting, even though it can clearly go. There, and now it's finally going because the block is now clear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a block signal here. That'll kind of break this up. So once this car, right there, that last car, once that car clears that block, that will now free this up for the next train. So, let's see, is that another train coming? No, not yet. One, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. There we go. So let me I'll put a block signal. The train station's a bit close for that. Might just do it here. Call it a day. I don't think it's going to fit in here, but we'll see. It's one of those situations where it's just like, can't exactly fit it. It's a little bit close. Let's see. It's gonna fit. Yes, it will fit. Okay. It just fits. In the words of Todd Howard, it just fits. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay. Get going. And then, since there isn't a intersections outside this train station, I'll just do this. Just do a block signal there and there. We'll call that a... That works there. It is what it is, you know. Just however you want to do it. You can have to... there is no wrong way if you have a train reserving more than one block at the same time. It really doesn't matter. But what you do want to think about is if there's a block... let's say this train wants to enter here, but it can't. So what it's going to do is it's going to enter into the intersection. It's going to stop. But let's say this train is trying to then go... This is going to be a little bit of a weird thing, but let's say this train is then trying to go into this intersection, crossing here. But it can't. So let's get a block signal here. But this train can't get into this intersection because this train's in the way, so it's blocking itself, or another train's blocking it, you know, stuff like that. That's something else you need to kind of think about, is what happens if a train is in the intersection and multiple trains are trying to get into that intersection. You can end up with a situation, because it does happen, you can end up with a situation where the trains kind of block themselves and they end up doing a complete lock. So you know, do try to prevent situations like that from happening, I guess, by having trains that maybe will stop in a block before, maybe they won't enter that intersection because situations like that. That's why the path signals usually look to the block ahead, but you can create situations where it just doesn't work like that. Or it works a little bit weird. Also, I didn't set these to unload. Whoops. Yeah, so now we've got our rail network set up completely, which is very nice. So we've got a complex intersection that's got multiple entrances to it. It's got this entrance, and like I said, any rail that comes within a very small distance, like this here, as you can see, that's still counted as part of that. Let's see if I put a block here, or a signal here. Let's try and... Can I reach that? Give me that. But as you can see, even though this rail doesn't technically go through it, it's just slightly touching. Even if it's not touching it, it can be within a distance. It'll still count it as part of the block, so it's another thing to kind of be aware of. If you get your rails too close together, they'll be counted as one block. And if the train's line considers that a block, even though the train lines aren't touching, and the trains aren't going to be touching, but it's close enough, the game will consider that one rail line, and the trains will be able to collide. There are possibility of collisions, so. But anyway, that's just one thing, so. Go ahead and belt this up for our iron plates. There's our iron ingots. Let me get a factory set up for iron plates real quick. Alright. So now we've got that all connected. Very, very nice. So we've got our iron ingots coming in here, and then we've got our iron factory for iron plates going in here for our other train station, which is the iron plate factory outbound. So this was a prime example of why I did this. So let me show you right here. Let's go ahead and connect this here. Get going before it comes in. So sending out all the iron ingots. So our iron ingot factory is going to be pretty much backed up here in a second. And once it starts loading, look what happens. It's not doing that one specifically. Oh, it might be because it's full. That it's somehow still working. That it's not gonna load that. Interesting. But yeah, what was happening was this. The train would start loading, and it actually blocked this station from working. So what would happen is it was as if I did this. And of course, during those 30 seconds or whatever, the train station, the belts had all emptied. And it actually almost emptied to the fact where the plates weren't getting enough materials. Maybe it's just because they weren't all full, but yeah, so what I did was I put down a box. Like I said before, it is not a completely necessary, but if you're running in a really, really tight ship, with not enough materials to go around, a buffer, using one of these storage containers as a buffer might be a good idea. Put in like that, and then when the train station uses this, using its train station, I'm surprised that didn't work that time. He normally does that as well, but yeah, and this thing would just empty while the train station was being loaded or unloading the train into the train station. So the train station itself was being loaded. There you go. This box would then start emptying out. Now that it's getting a little more full, though, it doesn't need to do that. You don't really need that, but yeah, like I said, if you're running a tight ship and you don't want these boxes, this thing to be completely full all the time, and the train station's constantly turning its ports off because it's being loading or unloading a train, you just put a little buffer there. That'd be an example of doing that. Again, not necessary, but you can do it. So we've been building with 2 different train stations per factory, 2 train stations per factory. But you're going to run into situations, more than likely, where you're not going to be able to put down 2 train stations. 2 train stations, even of small size, so let's say you're doing a single car. Should have probably... actually, I almost placed that perfectly. That was by accident. It was totally on accident, unplanned. Let's say you're having a factory with a train station, and you're like, I only want 1 train car, so the minimum, basically, 1 train car. If you have an inbound and outbound train station like we have the iron ingots coming in, being turned into plates, and the plates going out. Doing that, even at the smallest you can go, which is right there-ish. Yeah, so right there. The smallest you could go, you still get belts in and out of here, of course, with the train station right up against itself like that. That's the closest you can put them. You cannot overlap them. As you can see here, if I do try to see, I can't overlap it even just a little bit. See, it has it not only that it must be placed on a train platform, but you can see the encroaching other objects clearance. You can get rid of that, of course. Just try to put his train station down. Yeah, the closest is them touching, basically. Right about there, is it? It's somewhere around there. I don't tend to put train stations up against each other like that, but yeah, that is the closest. And see, that won't even work. It won't even let me. So that's the closest for that, but that's not the closest for this, which is, again, that's probably an oversight. The closest is probably right there. So yeah, now I can put down my 2 things. All right. Look how much space this still takes up. So, do our counter here. It's 9 foundations, and if you put a little space in between, of course, that's 9. 9 foundations by 4. So that's still quite the amount of space that you're going to need just for 2 train stations. So you're going to run into situations like that, like our rod factory. We're going to pretend our rod factory only has enough room for a 4-car train station, just to make it easy on my my brain here. Let's see, we'll put it... Where should we put it? Let's see, for the train heading out and coming back. I'm just trying to think where would be the best way. You know what, actually? The best way might be here. Because we're going to have inbound, which is going to be the iron ingots, and then outbound, which is going to be the rods. And we all have enough for 1 train station. So we'll set it up over here. We'll give enough room for a bypass rail here. So we'll set it up like this. Give me. Thank you. Didn't get close enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a little more advanced technique. This is going to be the mixed train, which is going to mix objects. So we're going to have the train come in. It's going to load, and then it's going to load the train. But the train's not good. We're going to have 2 different trains here. So we'll set up another train station. So iron plates, this will be the iron rods over here. So this is where the iron rods will be dropped off. This is certainly there's more combinations you can do, more advanced stuff and what like that, but this is just kind of an example of what you could do. This is just one of the things that you could do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do an empty platform. 1, 2. This is in the same spot, that's it, right? No. Wait, actually I'm going to line those up. And it is there, right? Oh, I see what I did. I'm an idiot. Don't worry about me. I'm an idiot giving tutorials. Isn't that fun? Look, this is not a tutorial, okay? So yeah, then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we'll have a bypass rail in here. That could work. Yeah, that'll work like that. Okay. So this is whatever factory. We're not going to name this, but this one over here, this one's going to be the iron rod factory. So iron rod factory, just for ease of naming stuff. No. Let me out. So we're going to have a 2-car train, and that's it. So we're going to hook it up in here. This is going to cause a little bit of a blockage, but we won't worry about it. I guess we'll have to connect it. One, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do a 4-by. Actually, I didn't quite 4, is it? Will this still work? This will still work, right? Yeah, okay. That's what I just did there was called a bracer rail. So if, let's say you got like an uneven set of tracks, like kind of like this-ish. Now it's pretty hard to tell what's going to work and what's not, but let's say I need to connect this to that. Now that's a little bit too sharp, so let's move it back 1. But I'm not doing an exact demonstration. What I could do is I can put down 2 bracer rails. That's what I call them. So I got a bracer rail there and a bracer rail there because each end of the corner I want to be with the grid. Still a little close. Go a little bit further away. There we go. So yeah, it's a little bit of a wonky corner, but you can do it. And but yeah, let's say I wanted to put that rail like that, so that rail's like that, but my next rail needs to be like this, kind of all wonky and weird. I can still connect that. So, and then I put my 2 bracer rails down first, and then I can make my corner, and make that work. So you don't have to do exact corners. I'm just doing exact corners, kind of, because that's just how the grid is working for me. So that's just kind of my thing. Put that like that. Connect that up. Why not? Something like that. And then we need our bypass rail, which is going to be over here for other trains to use this without having to go through the intersection or have to wait for trains to load and unload. So I usually, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a bypass rail here. And we'll build this like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a rail from here to here. But there's, actually not from there to there, but from here. Wait a second. That's not exact. Neither is that one. Huh. I guess I just didn't, whatever. Or is it? No, this one's exact. Huh. Interesting. But it doesn't matter. And then what I'm gonna do is we'll go 1, 2 here. We got 2 foundations there. It's okay. So I'm gonna build a rail from here to here. Well, what I'm also gonna do is I might just do this. Build a rail from there to there, and then we'll connect up this one. We'll connect it up there. And then of course we'll do a cross section like this. So yeah, this is basically a cross rail. So you've got this train that's going from this train station can go directly to that train station, or it can get on the bypass. A train going around the bypass can either go straight and continue, or it can get from this bypass over to this station. So that's a pretty complex station. We can put a block signal there, put a block signal here. Let's see, we'll put a block signal there, and a block signal here. And since this is an or kind of like a split section track, just put a block signal there and there. That'll work there. Get another split. Okay. Then we'll put a pass signal here and here. And then that will, since there's only 2 entrances, the train can either go straight or left on either end. The reason I couldn't do this here, we can actually fix that. I'll just do this. And we'll do the same on this side. So that to there. That to there. And then that looks a little more clean. Yeah, actually looks pretty nice. Looks a little more clean now. As well. And if this was a dual rail, I would then put this here. And of course, this would have to be a pass signal. So we can even use this as a dual rail train. Obviously, the train's never going to go that way, but it can go straight. The trains are smart enough to use it, so you could definitely do something like that. But let's not get too overly complicated there. Yeah, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take these two rails, and I'm going to go straight. So I can't remember the biggest corner you can have. Is there 6? 2, 3, 4, 5. So like there, maybe. Might even be a 7x7. I can't, like I said, I can't not remember. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we do a 7x7, you can do a 7x7. Oh, you know what? It's an 8x8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8x8. Look at that big old curve. Ooh, buddy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to... Yeah, we'll bring it to here. Yes. And put that in there. Then what we'll do is we'll put a pass signal. Put a pass signal here. And here. There we go. And block signal. Put it there. Because I'm going to do this. I tried to delete the gift. That is funny. Bit of wind. How that works. Let's put 2 block signals here. Actually, might be better to put 2 pass signals here. So like here and there. You don't have to do this, but it just makes it look neater. Or more neat, I should say. Just makes it look more neat. There we go. Okay, that should all be working. Okay, this is going to be whatever factory that's going to be. This will be the iron rod factory here. Very, very nice. And again, in the real world, this would all be separated. So that little warning light right there that you can see on my radar, basically what that means is the train has been waiting for too long. If the train waits for a very, very long time, either A, there's been a signal error on your rail network, which can happen with loading a game. Sometimes pass signals or pass signals or block signals will bug a little bit, and basically all it really needs is just to delete the signal, put it back down. Just a bug they're working on as well, which thing. And actually, if you actually go into the train that's having issues, which that train is also having issues too, but the train station's in the way. But yeah, if you actually go into it, this will tell you either there's been a signal error, or there's something's wrong, basically. So train is waiting an unusually long time at a signal. A signal error may have occurred. But it says may, it doesn't say exactly that's what it is. In this case, what's wrong, is this train, which we are setting up to go to our iron rod factory to pick up iron ingots here. This train is actually causing the issue because it's not going anywhere, which we will then fix. So let's edit the timetable. Let's do iron factory outbound. And let's do the iron rod factory. Let's back it up. Turn on self-driving. Oh, I didn't save. Whoops. That happens. Outbound, iron rod factory, save changes. There we go. Okay, so now it's going to load up and then it's going to go over here. Okay, very nice. And then whatever that factory is going to be. And that train can also get back, because it can go back that way through that rail network. I'm going to get it loaded up. Let's go. We got iron rods to make, man. Which are going to take constructors. Logistics. No, that's production. Durr. Constructor. So what I've done here as well is the reason that there wasn't as many iron plate machines, even though they're all overclocked, I'm only using half of the ingots I'm producing. This way I don't overdo my amount that I need to take out. So that I don't run this train station out of material. Because if I run the train station out of material, and then the trains run out of material, and then the stations, the destination stations also run out of material, then there's an issue and everything else, and it's just a big old thing that you want to try and avoid, especially when running tight ships and stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is we'll put, see, that's the outbound one, so let's put it like this. It's probably going to be there and there. And then we'll set this up for iron rods. Actually, what is it called? It's rotors, isn't it? Iron rods and screws. Oh. What takes plates? Is it reinforced plates? It takes plates and screws. Yeah, okay. Let's set up for a reinforced plate factory. So we'll set these to cast screws. Yeah, cast screws. That'll work. Okay, so cast screws take up 12.5. Let's take that 12.5. We'll divide that by 600. Whoops, wrong way. 600 divided by 12. Shut up. 12.5. Okay, so what's the overclocked version? 31.25. So 31.25. So 19. Geez, that's a lot of screw factories, man. We'll just put down 20, or 10. We'll call it a day. That's a bit too many. All right, let me get this hooked up real quick, and then we'll continue. Okay, and here is our complex system we've got going on here. So, oops. I was gonna say before that train arrives, but that's okay. So you're gonna notice that, where's our iron ingots? They're not coming out. It's because we forgot to set those, and I actually forgot to set those on purpose. It's because I want to do something different. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up a little bit of a mixed train. Well, it's not going to be a mixed train. It's going to be a mixed train station. And like I said, there's multiple combinations out there. You can do all kinds of different stuff doing it this way too. You can save space and whatnot. Me personally, though, I like to do one train station per thing. So one train station to do iron ore, one train station to do iron ingots, one train station to do iron plates, one train station to do iron rods, and so on. So that I don't have to run mixed train stations and trains and all kinds of stuff. But this is certainly one way you could do it. Like I said, there's multiple combinations out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another train here, but this train is going to have 2 empty cars. So what we can do is we can do this. It's a little bit weird to do it this way, but so this one's going to be unload. So we can do unload, and then these two will be load. So then what that's going to do is that's going to we remove these two. We put down 2 empty stations. And this is certainly one way, like I said, that you could do it. Really interesting. And this is where I get into the territory of, I don't really know what I'm doing, so how could you guys know what I'm doing? So that's unload, unload. Timetable. Iron rod factory. And then, yeah, the C, save changes. Turn on. There you go. Set these to unload. And what we could do with this train is we could say, okay, these 2 cars, we'll put train station here. These ones can load up whatever's over here. And send that out as well. So, like I said, the few different combinations you could do. Very fun. Sorry, it did hit me. You guys are probably wondering, like, what the heck are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm such an idiot. Let's cancel this docking real quick. No, stop it. Turn off. Shut up. Okay, that's going to be I cannot spell today. My brain is not working. Yeah. Thought it was. Reinforced plates. Or reinforced plate factory. Oh, ran out of room. So let's just call it reinforced plates. It's just fine. Okay. Reinforced plates, and then this one will be inbound. Because we need a much longer train station if we wanted to do outbound as well. Or we'd need a more complicated system. So reinforced plates. So it's going to be inbound. Got my caps locked on, of course I do. I always hitting it with my big old fat hands. I got big old bear claw hands. It's going to back you up. Like I said, I was a little bit stupid. Don't ask me why I was doing it the way I was doing it. That's not what I meant, and that's not what I intended. So we're going to edit this timetable. We're going to remove these. Save changes. Let's go and back this up. Again, like I said, I don't know what I was doing. I was being stupid. It's supposed to be a mixed train. Mixed train station. And then I liked how I tried to justify it as well. Like, oh, you know, it's this, not this. And it's just like, I'm an idiot. I was like, something is wrong here. It's not working as intended. Like I said, I jump all over the place. So we're going to do iron rod factory. Then we're going to do iron plate factory. And then we're going to do iron factory outbound. Save changes. Turn on self-driving. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to simultaneously pick up screws, which it's doing right now, and then it's going to take it to this factory and it's going to drop off the screws. And hold on one second before that train gets here. So then this train is going to then unload. Actually, no, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, because if it has iron on it. So yeah, this train cannot have a the only way that I could make that work is if I sunk the iron ingots or the iron rods. Be the only way I can make that work with belts. But anyway, so basically, we'll just leave those to load. Or remove them. There we go. So I like to do these. Kind of connect the walkway. Okay, so basically what's happening is this train, which is our one train here, this one's going to go this way, and it's going to pick up iron ingots from this other factory once it's able to. Might move that to here, actually. Make that run a little bit smoother. There we go. And then that allows this train to then comfortably sit and wait at the station rather than waiting back there. I'm going to load up an entire train's worth of iron ingots. Then it's going to then leave. This is way more advanced than my other train tutorial I did. I think it just covered a few basic things and then that was it. Oh, that's why I did that. So it's never going to unload that back set of ingots because it's always going to be full. Yeah, so that's not going to work either. So I'm doubly the idiot. Let me fix my script here. So it's going to load. And since it's full of iron ingots, it's never going to never going to drop them off. Whoopsie. Okay, so now it's got a little more complicated. And now I think I know what I'm doing. I've kind of did a little bit of checking of my work, and now I think I've got it down. So we need a train to bring iron rods and screws to the factory right in front of us. So I've got a train here that's got a 4-car train. We've got 4 cars of unloading right there as well. I will set that up in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this train. We're going to go. I did fix my mess up, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Just trying to do a mixed train setup, and I thought I had it twice now, and I've screwed it up twice. So this time, I think I've got it. So we're going to do Iron Plate Factory as the first stop. Then we're going to do Iron Rod Factory as the second stop because of the way that I've got the rail set up for the kind of the complex rail network here. And then we're going to have it drop both of them off at the Reinforced Plate Factory. Now, there's a thing about this Iron Rod Factory that we need to set up a little bit of an additional so that you guys know how to set up mixed trains if you're trying to unload and load, but you only want to do portions of it. You can't select which cars. The stations themselves will select, or the stations themselves will be the indication of what cars are which. So if I save these changes, if I was to turn on the train to get it going, what's going to happen is it's going to, if it ever ends up overloaded, it might try to unload iron plates where our iron ingots are right here, because this is set to unload right here, this station and this one. These are set to unload, these are set to load. If we ever end up with an excess of iron plates, what it's going to do is it's going to start unloading these. It's going to start unloading the iron plates into these 2 stations because it's a mixed train, and we just want to unload iron ingots, which is what this train is. So I've lowered this train down to 2 cars. So now we've got the mixed train setup that I wanted. I've got it all figured out now. Sorry. I do tend to forget. So apologies for that. I do tend to forget. This is why it don't make me a good tutorial maker. I tend to forget certain things, and then I have to basically I have to re-figure them out again, and then go, oh, I'm stupid. Yeah, that's just how it is. So yeah, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the train here. We're going to go to the iron rod factory. We're going to edit the timetable, of course. Iron rod factory, we're going to click this little gear icon right here. Because I completely forgot how to do this, and then I had to play around with it and figure out how to get back into this menu again. Completely forgot. I did it. Yeah, I did the last episode as well. Last train nut tutorial we did. So what we're going to do is we're going to load only screws. So we're going to type in the screws here, just like that. And then we're going to unload, add item, but we're going to unload none. This is so that it doesn't try to unload iron plates here. So we don't want it to try and unload anything at the iron rod factory. And then save changes. So if we go back into that, see, it only loads screws and it unloads nothing. Even if it's got iron plates in excess, it will never try to unload them here. So the reinforced plate factory, we could tell it to unload the rods and plates, but we don't need to do that, so we're good there. And the iron plate factory, there's only 2, so we don't need to worry about that either, because it's only going to try and load there. So now we're going to turn on self-driving and see how it all works. So off she goes. So we're going to go over to the bypass here and get out of that section. Oh, the one thing I did forget to do that I wanted to try and do is I want to try and set this up into a intersection so that it doesn't have to go around and around and around. Oh, it didn't do it anyway. Dang it. So now, now it's going to do its loop, which is fine. For some reason, it decided to take that way. I guess that way was shorter. Because trains, if they've got 2 different routes to select, one goes through a station, one doesn't, it's going to opt for the not going through the station every time. But because I didn't have this set up because I'm an idiot and forgot, there we go. And what we can also do as well is we can do this. If the train wants to go that way. Yeah, so now the train is... basically, I've got 2 intersections kind of butted up against each other here. I've got an intersection here, and now I've got an intersection, full-blown intersection here as well. And we can also separate this by here. Yeah, see, now the train... Not that one. The other train is going to try and go that way. Which is this one right here, isn't it? Yeah, the empty one. Alright, train. Show me what you got. Pick up those iron plates. Or not. Where are you going? Are you lost? I was trying to get to that iron plate factory, but for some reason, couldn't figure out how to do it. What the heck? I've confused it. Oh, whoops. That might be what happened. Cancel docking. Turn off self-driving. That was my mistake. Let me just redo it all. I wanted iron plate factory outbound. Not that one. Iron plate factory outbound. There we go. And then iron rod factory. And then reinforced plates. Okay. That was my mistake. That's why it was doing its weird thing. Let's go ahead and edit that timetable. Not that one. This one. Reset this up. I'm going to leave this all in so you guys can see my screw-ups. Say, well, that's not professional. It's like, so? I think it makes me seem more human. I'm just kidding. It makes me seem more real, I guess you could say. In my opinion, anyways. Okay, so screws, and that's at the iron rod factory. Yep, save changes. told it iron plate factory first, so I don't know what it's trying to do here. I'll just drive it myself, whatever. So what the train is supposed to do... it's supposed to go here. I needed to make it dock. Come here. Cancel docking. And then F to dock, cancel docking. It said cancel. Oh, whatever. It's fine. It can load them iron plates. Okay, this iron plate factory outbound. Alright, now we've got the timetable corrected. Turn on self-driving. I wanted to do it all on its own. It's going to come in, it's going to try and load, but of course it just got loaded, so... Yeah. Oh, and yeah, just to show off what I did, probably cut it out, me building this, but I built this little intersection, so basically I built a bypass rail here, because there wasn't one going this direction. And this bypass rail can either go that way or it can go that way. And again, I got like several intersections kind of butted up against each other. This is to split them up so that there's so that the train can have an easier time navigating it, because they can go up to 3 path signals. They can reserve up to 3 path signals at the same time. So you see how this train just reserved this path here? Of course, that one turned red after it passed through, but it also reserved this one as well. So they can reserve up to 3, so it can reserve wherever it needs to go, which is pretty nice. So now we're going to go to the rod factory, and we've told it to load screws but unload nothing. So it's not going to try and unload the plates here. We're going to make sure that that happens that way when it gets to this one. This episode is going to be longer than the last one, I think. Pretty sure. Yep. See, it didn't try to, even though these trains, they had room to load it, it didn't try to unload the plates, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Like I said, this is the more advanced stuff that kind of gets a little more confusing. It's hard to remember everything you can do with trains. Trains, they seem so simple when you start using them, but they get really complicated really quickly. So then it's going to take its 2 cars of iron plates and its 2 cars of screws, and it's going to unload fully, as long as these are all set up to unload. Oh. Well, because I forgot to put these back in. But had they been there and set to unload, it would have unloaded the screws and unloaded the plates. And then that would go into our iron plate factory. So that's how you can use mixed trains in order to get what you want without having to do multiple stations as well. And what I know we're not going to be able to get to it today, but somebody did ask, and I will address this question so I can explain it a little more in detail here as well. Let me just pull it up just real quick. Okay, I've got it. It took me a second to get it up. Okay, so somebody did ask, so why would you have multiple trains going into the same station if that station has limited storage? Okay, for that, there's 2 different questions here, but that's one of the ones I want to address. So if you have multiple trains, there's two different kind of scenarios that would happen. And one of the scenarios we've already got going on here, which is this train station right here. This one has 2 trains going to it. Well, it's got 2 trains pulling from it, essentially. I know that's not what you mean by that question, but this is one of the scenarios. So if it has limited storage, obviously, you have 2 trains pulling from it. This has more to do with your materials per minute rather than the trains themselves, because there's so much material in here that the train stations can hold more than the train cars. So if we look at the train cars, you can see that it's a 4x9, is it? 3, 6. No, it's 8. Sorry, yeah, 1, 2, 3. So it's a 4x8 grid. If you look at the train station, this one's a, what is it? 3. It's a 6x8. So it can hold much more in the train station than it can in the train car. So the train, even if the train's completely empty, it will never be able to pull out everything. So there will always be, if these train stations are constantly full, or constantly getting filled, and always having a bunch of material in them, you should never have to worry about trains taking too much. And the reason that the reason I say build this way, this is because you'll always end up in the scenario where the train stations will always have more than what you're outputting. If you try to go too tight with the numbers, you're going to run into issues with transportation speed, which will be more of your limitation rather than the belts and the the materials themselves. So this one, these iron ingots are 1,200 per minute, and we're not even using the 1,200 per minute. So basically, the system, even though we're using probably close to that number, we're not using all of it. So we're overwhelming our factories with ingots, and that's how I like to play. I like to overwhelm my system. So basically, let's say I'm doing reinforced platings and I'm making so many reinforced platings per minute. I will always have more screws and more plates being made than the iron plate factory needs, or than the reinforced plate factory needs. And I will also be making more iron ingots, more than what my factories are being needed for that. So then the system is able to keep up as well as stay full. This is just so the trains I never have to worry about the trains never bringing me enough material. Like I said, with trains, if you run the numbers too tight, you're going to end up with the trains not being able to deliver your materials quick enough, unless they're extremely close, like this one here. Which, why would you build 2 train stations? Like from here to there, you'd never build that because they're too close. Let me set these to unload real quick before that train comes in here. So we should be getting screws and iron plates. Obviously, the screws stack up to 500, so they're taking forever. So the other thing I wanted to kind of say to that is you want to kind of think of the train stations as throughput boxes rather than an ending storage, which is kind of how I see that question being framed, is that the train stations themselves are an end storage. So they have limited storage. That's where they end. If you have 2 train stations bringing to the same place, why would you have that if they have limited storage? Because you think of the train stations as a throughput storage. So that's basically what it is here with these factories. So even though I can have 2 different trains bringing iron ingots from 2 different places to this location, as long as it's connected to a factory, I will never, if I need those 2 trains, I can do that. So that's the other scenario, is to have 2 train stations bringing in the same material to the train station. Even though yes, it has limited storage, it's always going somewhere. So basically, if I had 2 trains bringing iron ingots, I would never have to worry about. It's like, why would you do that? It's like, well, if I need those 2 trains, like let's say I'm bringing iron ingots. Sorry, the map's not all revealed. I don't know how to do that. Let's say I'm bringing iron ingots clear on the other side of the map. The map is what, at 3,600? Or what is it? 3,600 kilometers? No, it's more than that. It's 36,000. Or, sorry, it's 3.6 36 kilometers. That's what it is. Sorry, I forgot the map size. The map, you know, obviously you've got the desert. The desert is way over yonder. There we go. There's the desert. You can see it way off in the distance. I can't even ping it from here. It's too far away. You can kind of see those structures sticking up in the air. That's where the desert is. So let's say I'm bringing iron ingots from there. And maybe I'm bringing iron ingots from there. Why would you do that? Because, I don't know. Just whatever. That'd be a scenario where I'd need multiple trains because the distance coverage, what that would be several thousand meters for the train to travel. So I'd probably need more than one train in order to bring enough to satisfy my factory. And that also does the numbers themselves as far as the factory goes. Let's say I'm producing like 5,000 iron plates per minute. I might not be able to bring in enough ingots on a single train load before the train makes a loop. So this train right here, let's say this train took too long to go from this station to this station and then back to bring me my iron ingots. That's basically how that'd go. My factory eats up the iron ingots faster than the train can make a round trip. So then, if that's the case, that'd be a scenario where I'd need 2 trains to bring me one. And then the other part of the question, do I need multiple train stations for different types of parts and materials? No, you do not need multiple train stations for different types of materials. So this kind of could be an example, I guess, to that question. There's one entire train station bringing me iron rods or iron plates and screws. But you can also do a completely mixed train, which the train station is bringing you the iron plates and the screws on one car. Which then what you would do in that scenario is we'll address this more in detail later, but in that scenario what you would do is put down a smart splitter. Actually, let's see. I'll give a little more live example of this. Okay. So let's say inside of here we've got... Actually, I got a bunch of iron plates. Put them in there. Thank you. It wouldn't put them in there. And then we've got screws. Now this is going to be a little bit of a bad example, but also this is an example why you don't really want to do this. But it can be done. But you don't really want to do it because you're going to run into issues, balancing issues and stuff like that. It gets real crazy. Basically, this would be a sushi belt situation, what you call a sushi belt. So you got one belt coming out here. Oops. There we go. Which is going to bring out screws. So what it's going to do is it's going to unload whatever the next stack is. So this one's going to unload all the screws first, and then it's going to unload the plates. So basically what you would do in this scenario for a factory type, and again, this is really hard to balance. You're more than likely going to need sinks in order to make this work correctly. You might be able to balance it out to where it works perfectly with the numbers, but again, it gets really difficult really fast. So we've got a smart splitter here. We're going to send, so for the center, we're going to send the screws. I can actually just type it in. Yeah, screws, there we go. And let's see, the right output is going to be plates. Again, I could just type it in because I'm an idiot. There we go. So yeah, I've got that output there. To the right is iron plates, and to the front is iron screws. Then we're going to put down a production building. And like I said, I'll cover this in more. Maybe we'll cover this in more detail later, or maybe we'll just do it now. Yes. I'm already addressing it, so might as well. Yeah, this is basically where you'd run into this scenario, into an issue. So to the plate is iron rod, or iron plates, to the front is iron screws, and to the right is iron screws as well. So screws. We'll set this to none for now. And then reinforced iron plate. Is there a better? Got the bolted plate, which uses more screws. Is this more? 12, 24, 36 screws. 6, 12, 18. Yeah, it's more screws, but it produces faster, doesn't it? 15 screws per minute. Yeah, so basically you're just sacrificing screws for the sake of time. Yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. Okay. And then that's making the screws... Why aren't the screws going in? Oh, I'm an idiot. Here goes the screws. Okay. Okay, so this is going to fill up with screws. But herein lies your issue. This is one of the issues you'll run into for your train station here. And you can see, like I said, it's unloading it's going to unload only what it wants. And yeah, you could put the splitters right in front of the train station and then feed it back in. So that's pretty much what we'll do here, is we'll feed it back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the overflow into the front here. And let that fill up. So now the belt is blocked. It can no longer feed our screws, and we can't get the iron plates out of this, so that's not going to work. So what we'll do is logistics, we'll run a belt like this for our overflow, and then run it back into the train station. And the other issue you run into this, maybe the belt's not fast enough to handle this, but let's see. 250 plus 90... 340. Okay, so the belt is fast enough for that. Okay. But again, we're going to run into the issue of we're not going to be able to feed that in there. Taking forever to get my iron plates. Oh, it's just, and you know what it's doing is it's just feeding the screws back in. Yeah. So yeah, doing this kind of stuff, it gets really difficult real quickly. What we might do to fix this is, instead of doing it this way, let's see if I can figure this out. Because I've never done sushi belt factories before. I hate doing them because I've tried and I gave up on sushi belt stuff. But yeah, let's give it a shot. Actually, I might just... So let's say I want... logistics stuff. So I want a smart splitter here. Take that middle one. So the left is going to be any undefined, and the left output is going to be my screws. And actually, should be able to any undefined on the right side actually. And then the left, this one's going to be iron plates. And then the right output's going to be any undefined. So it's going to send the plates to the right. Set that there, set that there. That one's going to go there. put this here. 1, 2. This is kind of a side project I got going on, isn't it? Okay, that's an easy fix. Okay. And again, we're locked up. So I guess what I could do is I could go organization. Yeah, I might send them out the front again. None. Any undefined. Like I said, I don't I don't mess with this stuff too often. Any undefined. People are probably like, just do it this way, it's so much easier. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. That's going to send the screws back into there. And then it's going to then loop back around. Just for a little fun. It's just looping again. I guess what you'd do then is you would... my screws. So let's say this filled up with the screws. Okay, now it's sending the iron plates. So then that would make this box screws and this box plates when it filled up. Yeah, the screws have filtered into here, so then you would then send it this way. But then what happens when this box fills up? So then what you'd have to do, I guess, is you would have to set it to an overflow system and use a sink. Yeah. We're not gonna be messing with that. Or we're messing with too much stuff here. It's just no. Not my that's not my area of expertise. If you're going to do a mixed train, separate the stations themselves like we have here. That'd be the easiest way. That'd be my recommendation anyway. Is just like we've got this one. We've got unloading plates. Let me get rid of those. There we go. It's because... Wait, is this set to... It is! Whoops. I thought I removed that. Get out of here. That's why it was... So, iron factory outbound, iron rod factory. Don't go to the iron plate factory. I was wondering why that was filling up with ingots in the front two stations. Like, what the heck? Guess I can get rid of my iron plates there. There we go. Get rid of my screws here. Okay. So yeah, you can have the same station for two different materials. This is what I'd recommend doing: is keeping at least your cars with the one material in it. So you know, like this one is iron plates, iron rods, or iron screws in this case. It would just be screws. Screws, iron rods, or iron plates, whatever. Shut up. I'm tired. So then you end up with this situation. So that your output is only that. as well. So, yeah, with the system I mentioned, you would have to have more than likely you'd end up with a bunch of storage, or you'd have to use enough of it that it would never back up fully, um, and stuff like that. It's just not worth the hassle of having one car with mixed materials in it. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, essentially, yeah. So have one freight platform with one type of material in it. You can have a train drop off for like a manufacturer, a 4-car train, grabbing materials from 4 different stations and then bringing those 4 different materials here. So say if it was like computer switches, so you could have like cable there, plastic there, circuit boards there, and I think screws, and have screws there. And then this 4 station could then feed a manufacturer factory for computers. Essentially do stuff like that. If you're going to have that, because that does save on space, like you see here. We don't have to have one train station for iron plates, and then another train station over here for the screws, and then another train station that's outputting the reinforced plating. You can definitely do that, and just like we have at this factory, we've got one train dropping off iron ingots for our factory, for our screws, and then this other train that comes by picks up the screws and brings it over here. So you could do that type of situation. But yeah, basically for every factory, you would have at least 2 train stations, I'd say, in most situations, where you'd have an inbound and an outbound train station. The way I had it, if you watch my Series 3, what I did was I had one train station carrying one thing and one thing only, which is basically like we have over here, which was the iron. The iron ore got brought into a train station, which then went up to a massive smelting factory, and then that smelting factory obviously went onto belts and then into their individual factories. But if you're having a save where you're going to have factories all over the map, then you would probably want to do like one input, one out, or one inbound train bringing materials in, and then have another train taking that material out and going somewhere else. That'd probably be the best way to set it up, which is how I'm going to run my series, or how I'm going to run my season 4 as well. So basically, yeah, we've done in this episode, obviously, we covered a little bit more advanced techniques with track placement, a little more advanced for like intersections and things like that. You can get pretty crazy with those. Obviously, the mixed trains, which I screwed it up twice. Eventually got there though, and then having actual factories, so that we could show you live on how to kind of set some of this stuff up. So hopefully you got some good ideas from this as well. And hopefully I have answered your questions successfully enough. Hopefully you get some insight if that's what you're looking for and stuff like that. And hopefully I was helpful. Again, apologies for my tutorial being completely and utterly just all over the place and crazy, hard to follow. I know. It's just my brain doesn't work in that way. And people are like, yeah, it really doesn't. Yeah. Just, kind of how all that works. We are going to do a part 3. I have decided as well. I know this one was over 2 hours long, probably is what's going to be, because there was a lot to cover that I wanted to cover this episode. So apologies for the length as well. But again, hopefully I was helpful. Hopefully you got some insight. If you do have any other questions, comments that you would like me to address, stuff that I missed or anything like that, we will put it in the next episode. So keep those comments coming in. I do like that, because then basically by you guys asking questions of stuff I didn't cover or stuff I need to be more clear on, that allows me to then, have ideas and stuff like that to then move on and and then show you, um, you know, what I'm trying to actually say or something like that, what I'm trying to actually cover. Or then, have ideas for the next episode as well, because I do forget things. It does happen. So, like I said, if I did forget anything or you have any questions or anything, just put that down in the comments and we will address it next episode. Pretty much, I'll still answer you in the comment section, but if I have anything I want to add or anything like that, I will definitely address it more uh, in the actual episode and stuff like that. So, yeah, like I said, keep the comments flowing. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully it was insightful in some way. Hopefully I was helpful in some way. And if not, oh well, it's entertainment, right? Just entertainment. But yeah, I give this. I'll do it. I'll do the same thing. I'll give this another week, for you guys to put in your comments and stuff like that, for this to get enough views to actually get comments and stuff on it, which is nice. And thank you guys for all the likes last episode. That was really awesome of you. And all the subscribers we gained from that episode as well. So, again, that's going to be it. And again, I do hope you enjoyed. And until next time, I guess it's a goodbye.